Dr. Karasik, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The focus of this conference is going to be, basically geopolitics of the world for the next 4 years, and I know that you're an expert on the Middle East.
Yes, sir.
So I thought we might start with just zooming out from a 50,000-foot altitude. What do you think are the 2 or 3 most important things that somebody needs to understand not just what's happening today in the Middle East, but the next 4 or 5 years, how that's going to be shaped?
I think the first point is that the region, of course, is going through a massive transformation. And that transformation is not only political, but it's also economic and social. This transformation, of course, is more in the Gulf, if you will, as these economies have to be able to get away from oil-based income and revenue. Thus, these states are now moving towards a transition that will hopefully put them into a better economic position in the 2020 to 2025 period. There are a lot of howevers here because of the planning that goes into these programs, as well as the desire to bring individuals who have talent and knowledge to the region in order to share that, but at the same time, are these individuals compensated appropriately? How does it contribute to the innovation that is occurring in the region? And is it happening fast enough? Because that's the question here when we're looking at transformation, is what to do about youth. Because of the youth bubble that is present in the Middle East demographics, this transition to a new type of economy means that these youth have to be employed in some manner.
Well, the obvious country that's the biggest, that is the intersection of this oil and this youth bubble is probably Saudi Arabia. So
Indeed.
In particular, what do you think of Saudi Arabia? Has all these plans now, how they're going to modernize and reform. How do you rate the chances of that?
I think that the Saudi reform program, which is in 2 parts really. The first is the mechanical part, which is the National Transformation Program, and then there's the goal, which is the Vision 2030. The Saudis seem to have gotten off to a pretty good start in terms of going through this transformation. They have been able to gather together, if you will, the various bureaucratic bodies that seem to have been not part of the system or were filled with bloated civil servants who weren't doing anything. This system has now changed under King Salman and under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef and Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They're all working very closely to try to get this country to move in a direction that will educate youth, give Saudi youth employment in new industries. The question is, though, does it come soon enough? Again, this is the point that I think most analysts need to grapple with, is that they need to understand that the transformation in Saudi Arabia needs to occur at a certain speed. If it doesn't occur at that speed, then there are all kinds of problems that could arise with this transformation. The idea that civil servants are not being paid what they used to be paid, have longer work hours, not as many perks, makes them against the program itself. And what I'm talking about here in terms of civil servants isn't just in the ministries, but you can also find this kind of discontent in the provinces. And the provinces are run by Al Saud princes. All of this needs to be reconciled in order to make sure that all the Al Saud princes and stakeholders are on the same team.
So that's Saudi Arabia. So obviously they have a lot of challenges. When you look at the broader region, who do you think is best equipped to handle some of these challenges? I think Saudi Arabia faces probably a pretty uphill battle. Who do you think is best situated?
I think that the United Arab Emirates is best situated. They seem to have recognized early on about the future of the region, and particularly in terms of energy. So quickly put together 2 programs, the Abu Dhabi Vision 2030 and the Dubai Vision 2021, which are basically roadmaps in which these city-state emirates are able to experiment with particular types of business models, but also to be able to provide investors with a welcoming environment in which to produce, manufacture, whatever, a product or a service that is necessary in a post-oil economy. So this is what you see in the Emirates, is that they are looking beyond oil and they are trying to change the country into a hub of innovation and excellence. This is key to their survival. Now, what the Emiratis have done in, let's say, in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, is a model that can be placed in other parts of the region in terms of reconstruction. And that's the current debate now. After Syria, after Libya, after Yemen, plus the Palestinian question, has given rise to a conversation about a Gulf Arab Marshall Plan that will help to bring the thinking and modeling that we have seen in the Emirates to other countries in the region in which to help them build new infrastructure and commercial and residential buildings.
So we've talked a lot about the Saudis, we've talked a lot about the Gulf states and the relationship between them and the United States. One thing I'd like to ask you about, and one thing you brought up to me, was Iran, specifically Iran's relationship with North Korea, how Iran is involved in the conflict in Yemen. So can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
I think it's very important to recognize that despite the JCPOA agreement with Iran, Tehran is still pursuing nuclear weapon technology, and of course they have the knowledge. I think it's important to understand that from the Gulf point of view, that the Gulfies see Iran and North Korea as the same problem, because Iran, according to GCC and Lochters, has been testing their knowledge of nuclear weapon making in North Korea. The third test was actually an Iranian bomb. In other words, what I was told by GCC and Lochters is that the Iranians took their entire knowledge program to Pyongyang. Pyongyang was able to give them the supplies. They were able to put the bomb together and test it successfully. This thinking resides in the minds of the Gulfies, who see North Korea and Iran sharing technology and knowledge, not only in the nuclear weapons arena, but also sending that technology to Houthi rebels in northern Yemen. The fact of the matter is that the guidance technology that is being used in these Houthi missiles is coming directly from Iran/North Korea. So what the United States needs to do is look very carefully at both Iran and North Korea. Don't treat them separately, put them in the same box.
And is this why you think the United States has undertaken a couple airstrikes on Houthi installations in Yemen, or do you think that's a separate issue?
Airstrikes in Yemen are concentrating on both Al-Qaeda Arabian Peninsula and perhaps Houthi targets as well.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.